Well, that was easy. It's now recording. Happy July, everyone.
Thank you.
Can you
Yay
believe
for summer.
it? It's July. So, Carrie, back on the East Coast, you're close to Washington, D.C. What happens on July 4th back there?
A lot of traffic.
I bet. So what do you do? Just stay home and try to dodge it all, or do you go out and be part of it?
Sometimes we go, I've never gone down on the actual mall and gone to all that because it's usually pretty crazy. But what we do is we go to the Pentagon and we have a tailgate party with friends, and then we walk across. That's on the Virginia side, and Washington D.C. is actually a little cutout in Maryland, and the Potomac divides the two. So we are on the Virginia side, and we sit on the riverbank, and then we can see all the fireworks on the other side. And then when we know a way to sneak onto the HOV lane and get out of there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and then we sometimes, instead of going to the concert, there's always a concert on the mall.
And probably lots of fireworks, yeah.
Yeah, there's a concert on the west lawn of the Capitol, and you can watch on TV. And we don't go to that. We go to the rehearsal the night before, which is a little bit better as far as
Smart.
I'm not a big fan of real big crowds.
So what kind of concerts are they usually?
They usually have a really broad selection. Huey Lewis and the News has been there. And I think it's the Army band that plays. And so yeah, it's a lot of. It's called, usually Jimmy Smits has been the host the past few years.
What an exciting place to be on Independence Day. Mm-hmm. We'll all be thinking of you.
Yeah, if we don't get rained out this year, that hurricane's supposed to come, so we'll see.
Okay, so Denise, what are your plans for the 4th? Are you going somewhere or doing something exciting?
My brother's coming into town tomorrow, so I'm going to spend some time with him. And he hasn't seen me since I've lost all the weight, so I'm really excited, and all his kids and things. So that'll be fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and then I'm going to go do some hiking with some friends this weekend.
Denise has been doing a lot of hiking, and we're going to take a minute to each of us share about what we're planning to do to get through the events. So, Arnold, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
So what do you do for July 4th this year?
Oh, my daughter's coming up from Arlington with her husband and daughter. But I guess she's trying to escape the DC thing to come up to Philadelphia, where the signing and all the rest of that stuff took place up here. So it's I think we've been listening to fireworks for the past 5 nights, shooting off around here. So that was just the warm up. So they have big parties around. I think I'll probably just stay home with the family. You can watch it on the TV and maybe put in some movies and just enjoy time with the family, though.
So are you right near Philadelphia?
Yeah, I'm probably, about 4.5 miles away from
so you're right
getting into the downtown area. Yeah.
That where the Declaration was signed was in Philadelphia?
Yep, Constitution Hall, Independence Hall.
Yeah,
is up here. Liberty Bell's across the street. Home of Benjamin Franklin and all of those guys up here, and so
that's an exciting place to be. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jackie, have you got plans for the 4th?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
We stay around home.
Okay.
And we just be together as a family, so it's good. In our backyard, we can see the fireworks that go on here, and we'll just I know my family is going to order pizza, but that won't be my menu.
Okay. So by show of hands, how many of you, as you get together as families or around holidays, is food a really big part of family tradition? Raise your hand if that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, raise your hand if in the past, as you were getting started, or maybe even still, if you're a little nervous about how you're going to handle. Okay, so let's talk about in the past. Were you nervous as you first started on the plan of, I don't know how I'm going to navigate Thanksgiving, for example, or Christmas? Raise your hand if it made you a little nervous.
Okay. Well, that make you nervous.
Raise your hand if you're still a little, what am I going to do this weekend? Raise your hand if you're a little nervous about that. Okay, everybody's feeling pretty confident then. Okay. So let's talk about, because there's going to be people watching this recording that maybe are just getting started and they're still in the nervous stage. So let's start with you, Jackie. I'd asked Jackie if she'd share tonight. Just tell us a little bit about your story, how much you've lost so far, and how many weeks you've been doing this, and maybe what has changed for you.
Well, before coming onto this plan, I knew that I had to do something. I was not feeling good. I was always sluggish, and I would come home from work just dead tired. And so that was my main motivation. My overall feeling just didn't work well. So I started on the plan, and I've been on the plan for, I think, around 9 weeks. And I've lost 27 pounds.
Yay!
And just in that, and in that 27 pounds, which is 10% of my body weight. And I have noticed a big difference in not only how my clothes fit, but my stamina at work. And I come home and I still have energy to do the things I need to do when I get home. So it has really lifted me a lot as far as my self-esteem and just my overall well-being.
Wonderful. Yeah, Denise is an expert on cholesterol. So 10% of body weight, what would that do to a person's cholesterol, just that 10%?
Well, it's different for everybody, but that really does make a huge difference. Even if your cholesterol numbers don't necessarily go down, your risk does go down. So.
What did you say? Your what?
Your risk, your cardiac risk still goes down.
By coming down just 10%.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm really proud of you, Jackie. And so you said you're feeling more energy. I know one thing that I love that I shared in the newsletter, but I'd love you to share, Jackie, by reading in the books what you've learned.
Well, I think the books that knowledge is just gaining the knowledge of what, and it empowers me and it's a motivator as well, as you're learning more about your choices and how important your choices are. And especially about the sugar. I knew sugar was not the most healthy thing for you, but it just helps you as you read it. It makes sense, and I think it has ingrained in my mind more than before. I've been on several weight loss journeys before, and I have found that just by learning and having our help, having you, Sheila, actually every week, and having that resource of the book where we can go and help throughout the week when we're not speaking with you. And writing things down, as we always think that writing things down is really more important, and it kind of sticks with you.
It does. I think what an important process, that writing process. That's good. And Carrie, as the writer, tell us why that is, that writing things down. Why does that? I muted you for a second, Jackie. There was a kind of a weird feedback. So
are you ready?
Yeah.
I think that when you write things down, you clarify your thoughts, and when you write them down, you can't really help but read them back. And so it becomes more concrete, I think.
Good.
You know,
it's like it establishes it. It's like I don't know, like a second voice, second witness. I'm trying not to use that word, but it is. It's like a powerful way that you reinforce what you've learned and how you're feeling. So writing is really good. So Carrie, I ask you to just share a minute or two of how things are going for you, what your success has been. And are you okay to share with us for a minute?
Yeah, I've been struggling because I still have a lot of trouble with sugar. And I have discovered by doing this that I do much better if I watch, well, like ice cream just does not agree with me anymore. And I'm just better off if I don't eat it at all. And
because you got to your goal, right? You got to your goal and you're maintaining and starting to add some foods back in. Okay.
Right. And I'm not a real fan of the almond milk, but I think it's a good thing to eat on cereal instead of just regular milk. But I've always drunk skim milk, so that hasn't been a problem. But so I try to limit my dairy more than I had before, and also gluten, whatever, wheat isn't the best thing either. So
as you added those things back in, you found your body really didn't like them.
Right. When I can always tell if I've had too much because I get. One thing I found that when I was eating the 5-in-1, I had, well, for example, I don't think I have had a pain pill in the last 6 months since I started this. Not one. And I was taking regularly. I had headaches, and I haven't had any of that. And the other thing that really I notice, if I've had too much dairy or too many carbs, I get edema. My hands and things are swollen in the mornings. I don't have that when I'm limiting those foods. So I have switched back. Sheila suggested last week that I switch to a 3-and-3 because I was really struggling with controlling my intake of sweets again. And so I have switched back to a 3-and-3, eating those 6 small meals a day, and then making sure that I get my intake of, and of course I have fruit now that I didn't have when I was doing the 5-in-1. But and then to count my intake so that I have at least 3 vegetables, 2 fruits, 2 dairy, and a couple of carbs of high low glycemic index carbs. Mm-hmm. Or complex carbohydrates. Is what for you now. So it's really helped.
Oh, good.
Much better. Yeah. Much better.
And so what did you learn from this lesson so far?
Well, that I still am not out of the woods when it comes to I wasn't what I would call significantly overweight, but because I've lost 18 pounds. And I probably could force myself to lose another 10, but I think I'd have a lot of trouble staying down that low. So I'm trying to accept. But, the funny thing is, I gained back 2 pounds, and psychologically, I feel like I've gained it all back. And I know that isn't true, but it's, it's so scary for me still.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, getting back to the 6 small meals really made a big difference.
Yeah. So if somebody's listening to this and you've lost your weight and maybe you're gaining some back, it really helped me in a situation similarly when I had maintained and then kind of got out of habits of eating healthy and I gained a few back. I called my coach and said, even though we weren't doing weekly calls about my health, I called her again and said, and I don't know if you guys know that I have a coach too. And so it helped me just to have somebody to support me and that I was being responsible to again. And so I love this program because there's that help, even down the line. It might be 3 years from now that you realize, hey, I just need a tune-up, you know, I need to take off 5 or 10. It's always there in your back pocket. I like that Denise said that once to me. And in our back pocket, that we know what we need to do. And so even when we go on maintenance, we need to be aware that if we go back to our old habits, we'll revisit our old issues. So we need to keep those good habits. Even when we're going back and eating dairy and adding grain, we still need to keep our portions correct. And I know you were doing all those things, Carrie. You were watching.
Well, I've struggled. I've struggled, but you know, like.
You mean you're human after all?
Well, you know, I just feel like, well, you know, I've got this and it's done, and I'm never going to go back to this again. But you know, the minute that's my go-to for stress, you know, that's my way of soothing myself, and I really, you know, I really want to break the back of that addiction. Okay. And I know this is the way to do it. And you know, The Habits of Health is a great, great resource too. The book. It is.
Amen.
Is a great book. It is a great book. And it's so well written. It has so much good information as though it's a medical text, but it's written for everybody to understand. It's very well written. So one other thing I wanted Carrie to celebrate is in the last month, she's become a published author.
Yay!
You can get on Amazon and buy her book, either Kindle or the hard copy. So.
Yep.
Very cool.
So do you want to tell them the title? It kind of is.
Yeah, it's called If You Say You're Going to Kill Them, You Have to Kill Them. And it's about disciplining your children. And it's very short and direct and concise, but it's my daughter, who is now expecting her second baby. She suggested that I write it several years ago, because of some of the things that she'd observed, and she's like, my mother wouldn't let me do that. My mother wouldn't let me do that. So that's why I wrote it.
Cute. That's awesome.
That is fun. You'll have to keep us posted. So Arnold, do you have anything you'd like to share with us? I'd like us just to wrap it up in the next 2 or 3 minutes. I promised you I'd keep us at 20 minutes or so, and we're right about that. But I would like to just have a minute to hear from Arnold and Denise, if you would like to share anything.
I guess so. You know, you just going back to the original question as to, you know, did you feel nervous about going into a holiday season or when families together and things like that? Not so much nervous, but I still, you know, I had started in September, and you know, the holidays come right up after that, between you know, the Labor Day and the Memorial, or the Thanksgiving and the Halloween and the Christmas and things like that. But basically, if you remember, what I did was just you know, I was very selective on the things that I ate that were outside of the 5-in-1 plan, but just did very small portions to keep it so that you get a taste of it. You can participate with the family. You don't have to make a big thing about it, and just quietly go back about your way. And that seemed to do fine, and it didn't really throw me off. And so, and since I've been off of the plan, I've pretty much still stuck to the 3 and 3 since January, when I met my goal, and have stayed there. And I'm still bouncing between, you know, within 2 to 4 pounds back and forth from where I was at back in January. So
yeah, just remind us, Arnold, how much you lost altogether.
It was right at about 50, 52 pounds, something like that. Maybe 55. I can't recall.
I think you lost 55. So yeah.
Yeah, 55. I think it was. Yeah.
Good. So it was really great, and you were able to get off almost all of your medications and
yep.
do a 5K, all kinds of things. So
yep.
Denise is going to tell us something she succeeded in this month.
Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to do a 5K since 2008, and every summer I would try to train and get ready, but I just couldn't make it. I just couldn't do it.
And what the program is you use? Because I think
I use this training program called Couch Potato to 5K, or abbreviated C25K. You can find it on the internet. It's actually a really great program. So to interval train. But anyway, this last weekend I ran the whole 5K, and I did the whole thing.
And she ran really the whole way.
Yeah.
Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi.
Hey, Anne-Marie. I saw you.
So, Anne-Marie, you're just pretty new on the program. How's it going?
Well, getting used to it. I still, every now and then I'll have a headache, and tonight I really want to go out and eat, so I took a shower, and I'm just kind of chilling in clothes that don't belong outside, so.
So we'll only see you from the neck up then, huh?
You'll only see me from the neck up.
Well, you'll have to go back and watch the recording of this, because they've talked a lot about, we started at the beginning by talking about how at first we were a little nervous about holidays coming up, but the longer you're on the program, the more empowered you feel to be in social issues. So why don't, since Anne-Marie's our newest one on here, let's just each give her one piece of advice of how to handle being around all the July 4th barbecues and what to do. So let's start with Jackie. What advice would you give to Anne-Marie of how to handle being, have you got plans over July 4th, Anne-Marie? What are you going to be doing? So
I am going to see some fireworks, but that'll be at night, so I'll be okay. But I do have some friends that are coming in town, and I need to figure out where we're going to go eat so I don't mess up.
And so let's show Anne-Marie again how many of us that when we get together with family or friends, food is a lot the center of the tradition. Raise your hand. Okay. So we've all been there. We all understand. Okay, so Jackie, will you tell her something maybe she could do that would help her get through this friends coming in from out of town?
Well, just make sure that whatever is available, that you'll be able to have some choices. Either that or bring your own thing.
Yeah.
And if your family and your friends know that this is what you're trying to do, they'll be very supportive. I mean, mine are. And I know my limits, and so hopefully you can make those choices. But I haven't been through many holidays, so it's going to be new for me as well.
Okay. All right, so we'll give you advice too. So Carrie, how did you navigate through holidays?
Well, I started on December 30th, so I kind of waited till after the holidays were over. In like my 6th or 7th week on the program, we had scheduled a trip to Orlando. And so I was eating out for every meal, and it was scary. But I did great. I actually lost a pound that week, and
Wow.
found a salad. I just found a salad every place I went, and that's what I ate. I lived on salads that week, and I had some of my snacks and things with me. I would, and that's how I did it. So Anne-Marie, if you're going out to eat with your friends, you'll be able to eat a salad, and
Okay.
no croutons and dressing on the side, and you'll be able to do it.
And it helps me when I know I'm going to a certain restaurant. I get online and look at the menu in advance. And
I do that a lot.
I walk into there, I already know that there's going to be something I can choose from. So I'm glad you've already learned that. Denise, do you have any tips to share with her about getting through this coming up holiday?
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't really had a problem with any group gatherings or going to really any restaurant, because pretty much any place has meat and vegetables, and you can, if there's something in the dish or whatever that you don't want, nobody's going to care if you say, I don't want this in it. Can you take that out? Nobody's ever been upset at me or anything. And then, I always have like my favorite bar in my purse, so that when everybody else is ordering dessert, I can have a little snack of that. So
even though you've just had your lean and green, you have a bar right there as part of your dessert, like just a...
I should clarify, I have maybe like 2 bites of it, and then I save the rest for later.
A couple bites of it just to give you the sweet taste that you need at the end of your meal. Good idea.
Cool.
Great idea. Okay, Arnold, any advice for Anne Marie?
Yeah, I just echo everything that's been said. I mean, I've tried all of those things. They work great. And then just remember, you're there with friends and family, and enjoy them more than the food. You know, you don't have to worry about grazing and things like that. Just focus on the friends and family you have with you, and enjoy them, and enjoy the company. But yeah, the rest of the advice, it's absolutely works, and just like I said, just echo everything that's been said.
Great. Well, I'm really proud of all of you and how well you've done. And here's to a wonderful July 4th. Focus on your family. Focus on the patriotism, you know. Try not to have food be our focus, even though it's a family tradition. I've decided one of the legacies I want to leave is a legacy of health. I really want to teach the people around me how to be healthier, and starting by my example. And so I found, and this is one of the things that works. Like today I was at a funeral, and so I actually brought a big green salad to share, because then I knew I would have something that I could eat. And so if you're going to a gathering, always take something that you know you'll be able to eat, and so you know that you'll have that choice. Okay. All righty. Well, have a great week, everybody. Our habit of health this week we're just going to end with is the importance of support. Getting on calls, talking to your coach, reading in your book. Those are all wonderful ways to stay connected. And that's the difference that will help you keep this off long term, is to reach out to those lines of support that are there. And as you are longer on the program, you'll find that you'll start drawing people to you that are like-minded, that want to get out and hike and want to be healthy. You'll find yourself kind of shifting what your activities are and what people you do things with, and it works great. So happy July 4th, everyone.
You too.
Thank you.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.